Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell, Youth Services Director at the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Before I get started with the program, I want to be sure and thank TV47 and Robert especially for all they do to help us put our programs on, to let the community know things that are going on at the library and things in our community. Today, I'm very excited. Today is the very first day of our summer reading programs, and Tommy Johns is joining me today. He is our kickoff program. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've come early from Georgia this morning.
The time change works to my advantage, though. I didn't have to leave as early as it might seem. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Our programs have begun, or today they're beginning. Tommy's our kickoff program. We have programs on Mondays and Wednesday for all ages, and that's what this is. They start at 10 o'clock. So we are looking forward to your program. Tommy's been with us several times. Always does a wonderful program.
Thank you.
And it is always a brand new program.
Right. Every summer I write a brand new show that fits the theme for the summer. This summer, of course, the theme is Libraries Rock.
Yeah.
And so that one scared me a little bit because I don't have any musical talent. I was afraid that I was going to have to learn to sing or play an instrument, but I discovered there's a lot of stuff you can do. My puppets are really quite talented, and they'll both be performing music today that I'm glad I didn't have to. So.
Oh, actually, one of your puppets has top billing in your program, right?
Roosevelt Rat? Roosevelt Rat. A lot of times people will call me and they'll say, you're the guy with the rat, right? And so, just to clarify, it is a puppet rat. It's not a real rat, but he is kind of out of control, and he does deserve star status in the show.
He doesn't say a lot, but he is very active and very funny. Interacts with the audience, and they love it.
Yep, absolutely.
They love it. Well, I want to know first, just to, tell us about yourself. You haven't always done this type of work, have you?
No, I started. I tell people that I'm a magician, but my shows really are magic and puppets and variety arts. I have a lot of comedy and a lot of other things in there. And I started doing magic when I was 8 years old. I was third grader, Cub Scouts. We had to do something for the talent show. I knew I couldn't sing or dance, so I learned to do a magic trick, and it was a lot of fun to be able to perform that in front of people. And so I've always been a bit of a ham. I've always enjoyed doing that kind of thing. Went through, about the time I discovered girls, I dropped doing magic, and went through high school, graduated, went to college, and discovered magic again.
Good.
But my degree in college was in religious education, and then went and got a graduate degree in education as well. I've worked a lot in churches as a youth minister, education minister. And then in 2000, really started feeling like the magic business. I've been performing on the side to supplement my income, and began to feel like the magic business might be something that I could go into full time. And as it turned out, our church got a new pastor, and he expressed the desire to hire his own staff. And so it was a good time for me to transition into this, and the rest, as they say, is history. So since 2001, I've been doing this as my full-time gig. And the busiest year I had 700 performances. All over the country, doing shows in churches, schools, libraries, fairs and festivals, and just for fun things. So.
Wow. Well, you are very busy because it's not just during the summer.
Right. Yeah. During the summer, I do about 75 programs at libraries, camps, church events, and then during the rest of the school year, I do educational assembly programs that encourage kids to read. I've got several shows that I do there that teach different things, but you always use a little bit of magic, puppets, comedy, visual aids, different things to help reinforce the message. So
that is great. I like. I've looked on your website, which is awesome. It's so easy to navigate, and I do navigate a lot of websites of entertainers, and most of them are very. You have contact information. Everything tells me all about your programs, and I read your mission is to create and deliver educationally significant assembly programs that encourage kids to read.
Right.
You know we love the encourage kids to read at the library.
Right. Well, I believe that reading is like a superpower. If you're a good reader, you can learn to do almost anything. You can have all kinds of adventures. You can visit all kinds of places in your imagination, and you can meet all kinds of interesting people. And so I always tell kids that if you've got a library card, you can go anywhere in the world. Benjamin Franklin was the one who came up with the idea of a free public lending library. He said that if you, in a free society, everyone ought to have access to information. And before he came up with the idea of a free place to go and check out books, if you wanted to read something, you had to buy it or you had to borrow it from a friend. And now anybody, no matter what their position in life can go into a library, and they've got access to the internet, they've got access to books. The whole world is right there. And I think that if you encourage kids to read, get kids excited about reading, and you can change their lives forever.
That is great. That is just perfect. Love to hear that. That is great. And I know that's one thing I love about your programs is you always promote books. You're always talking about books for all ages of children. So the books you have for the program today, I have pulled. I'm going to display if they're still in. I want to do that. How do you choose books for your programs? I know with the theme, sort of. And
right.
Like that.
Well, fortunately, I have a network of several friends. My best friend Dorian LaChance lives in Mississippi. I've got good friends. Steve Petra is in New York. Steve Ronker in Connecticut. I've got Tim Sonnefeld in South Carolina. All these guys have educational backgrounds. All these guys are performers. And so starting as soon as the summer's over, we know the theme for next year is space. The theme for the year after that is fairy tales. And after that is animals. And so we're already collecting ideas.
Wow.
So we typically what my job is, since my wife is a media specialist, is once I know what the theme is, I'll go to her library and I'll look and see what the kids are checking out, what the popular books are, and what the really well-reviewed books are that might be hidden treasures in the library, because there are some great books in the library that nobody ever checks out. Because people do judge a book by its cover, or
they do,
or they just want Wimpy Kid, and if it's not Wimpy Kid, they're disappointed because there are no books in the library. Right. And so one of my goals every year is to find at least 3 books or series that nobody has discovered yet, and really encourage kids to do that. And I guess my biggest claim to fame a few years ago, the theme was mysteries. Get a clue, I think, was the theme, and I was very excited. A librarian got in touch with me after the show was over, and she said, we checked out 46 Hardy Boy books this week.
Oh my goodness. That's
Hardy
a lot.
Boys books,
Hardy Boys,
It is. It blew the dust off those books and got them checked out. So it was that was a lot of fun. So.
And kids sometimes just need to hear about them.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
that's
exactly.
great. Well, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll come right back and talk some more.
Hi, it's Shawnee McNeil at South First Bank. This is a great time for you to buy or build a new home, or maybe refinance your present mortgage. Our rates are the lowest they've been in years, and that means saving you money. We've been helping our customers become homeowners in this area for nearly 70 years, and we can make our approvals right here in the office, and that means saving you time. We're located here in downtown Sylacauga. Come in and find South First, a better way to bank.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our knowledgeable pharmacists are always available for questions about your medications or advice on taking over-the-counter products and supplements. Our friendly staff can assist you in choosing from our full lines of compression hose and medical equipment. And don't forget our gift department. We have a great selection of unique gifts for every occasion. Stop by and see us today. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Not getting a good night's sleep? Come into King's Mattress Outlet in Sylacauga and let us help you get that good night's sleep you deserve. We carry the best quality mattresses at the best prices from Restonic, King Cole, and Park Place. Eurotop Queen mattresses start at $199. Check out our Restonic Cabot Eurotop mattress with 1,000 individually pocketed coils, marvelous middle for back support, and comfort gel memory foam. King's Mattress Outlet in Sylacauga. Best quality at the best prices.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Tommy Johns, who is our kickoff performer for our summer reading program with the theme Libraries Rock. We were talking about you collaborating with friends. I think that is such a great idea. You said you have friends from all over the country and y'all share ideas together.
Right. Most of us met at a thing called Cadabra. There's a conference that's held every year in August in Pigeon Forge called Cadabra. It's a conference just for children and family performers. And so variety performers, we've got ventriloquists, clowns, puppeteers, face painters, just everybody that has anything to do with some of the best from around the country, actually from around the world, come there for about a week. And we learn marketing and other things like that. Well, we met at there over the years. And so there's some people you meet and you think, wow, I'd love to spend time with that person. I'd love to work with that person.
Yeah.
And so I've had the good fortune of having some of the best in the business to partner with, to collaborate with, as we write shows every year. And so it's not a large group, but it's a very, very good group. I've always believed that we are a lot smarter than I am.
That's
true. As a result, I've discovered that I can be much better if I take other people's advice and listen to other people.
And so nice to share ideas from people doing the same thing.
It is.
I know. I don't do the same thing you do, but I do story times. And at one of our performer showcases, you shared how you use your puppets. And first thought I was like, I can't do a puppet. I can't do the silly voice and all this stuff. But you said you don't really have to. Your puppet doesn't have to talk. It can talk in your ear.
Right.
So I tried that. It was great. The kids loved it.
That was a lot of fun. That was kind of my breakthrough moment for Alabama Libraries. I had been coming to the conference and handing out business cards and doing mailings for 5 or 6 years, and only had a few libraries. But when I was, I think Elaine was.
Yes, Elaine Live-Oak.
And so she kind of put in a good word with me for the person, Ms. Black, who was at the State Library office, and she said, let this guy do a 15-minute puppet workshop.
Yes.
And when I did that, people lined up to book me, and now more than half of my summer is spent in Alabama doing shows. So
that's great. Yes, word of mouth travels.
It does.
We call each other.
For better or worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I tell you, so many people say, oh, Tommy Johns, we're going to have him. My kids will just die if Mr. Tommy doesn't come this summer. So that was Jenny in Munford. Yeah, so we just really enjoy it. Like I said, I love that you promote books and all that. But you do programs during the summer. And this summer, the name of your program is the
Slightly Offbeat Musical Magic Show.
Okay.
And so it's, and in retrospect, I would have called it Reader's Rock, as many times as I have had to say that long name. I have a friend who lives on Worthington Hills Manor, and she has thought many times she'd rather live on Oak Street.
I bet. That's true. That's true. So now you perform at libraries a lot in the summer because that's what we do during the summer. But then I know you did a program for us, for teens. This has been several years ago. Took you to one of the schools and you did it was a dark but not really dark program.
Right.
Kind of things they would find interesting.
Right. It was Tales of the Unknown, I think was the title of the show. Yes. It's a middle school show, and it again promotes reading. Everything I do promotes reading. My science show promotes reading. My Christmas show promotes reading. Again, because I believe that readers are leaders. I saw that at your library, as a matter of fact. But it's very exciting to be a part of that, and the middle school show is a lot of fun. I'll be doing that in Chickamauga, Georgia this week. They've invited me for a teen program at the library.
Great.
And so we'll be doing that. But that program is it's one of those. It's kind of spooky, but it's not really dark. We talk about Edgar Allan Poe. We talk about H.G. Wells, time travel, a lot of science fiction and fantasy type stuff, and really promote reading that way. So.
Well, now when I think of reading, I don't necessarily think of science and simple machines, but you have programs about that, right?
I do. I started doing that kind of as a practical thing because if you have a science show, you promote it to the science teacher at the school. If you have a character education show, you promote it to the character education person. And it's hard to find those people. But the good news about media specialists and librarians is that they are trained to gather and disseminate information.
Oh, yes.
And so a mentor of mine said that if you market every show to the media specialist, it will get where it needs to go. And so my science show, I market it as a reading show because it is a reading show.
Yes.
I have my 2 science shows. And I encourage kids to read. We've got fiction books, nonfiction books. We talk about all the different kinds of animals, for instance, in the science book. Science show. We've got all kinds of animals in there, so lots of books about animals, and we do those kind of things. But if I market it to the media specialist, and the media specialist hasn't got the budget or only has half the budget for a reading show, then she gets the science department to pick up the other half. And so I get to accomplish my goal of encouraging kids to read every time I perform, plus the fact that I can have very diverse shows. And so sometimes schools will invite me 2 or 3 times in the course of a year, once to do science, once to do character education, and then a reading celebration at the end of the year, which is always great. So.
That's great. And I love you've looked at the course of study, the mandated curriculum that has to be taught, and that's not maybe not necessarily the basis of your program, but you throw those in there, those curriculum.
Right. I love dinosaurs. Ever since I was a kid, I love dinosaurs. But
yeah.
Georgia doesn't have dinosaurs in its standards.
Okay.
People, when they study rocks, they'll get into that. Of course, kids love dinosaurs and,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. But it's not part of the mandated curriculum. As much as I'd love to have a show about dinosaurs, it wouldn't sell in schools because the days of inviting somebody in just to entertain kids is long gone. And so as fun as that would be, I don't have a show about dinosaurs. So every show that I do has a lot of basis in the standards. Georgia and Alabama, being an educator, my wife being an educator, we have access to those. And so when I get ready to build a show, the show this summer is not going to have as much of that. It's going to be more of a reading celebration when this one is converted into a school show.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago when we did our science show, that one translated very well into school shows. It's become one of my most popular.
Oh, wow. So you can use these over and over. As I look on your website, I look at some we've had, so you just kind of tweak them a little bit to use them.
Sometimes I tweak them, sometimes I overhaul them. Sometimes they're a lot of fun in the summer with a light amount of content.
Yes.
I've discovered that kids enjoy learning stuff. It's called, see if I remember, social capital. If a kid comes out of my show knowing something he didn't know before that he can then share with his friends or his parents, that gives them social capital, and it's a really neat thing. There's again a friend of mine that I met at a convention. She was sharing this idea in a lecture, and so you want to put in your show lots of little nuggets. About different things, and so those nuggets are those bits of information that may or may not help on a test, but they will help the kids know. For instance, a lot of people think that caterpillars become cocoons and then they become butterflies. Well, actually, if they're going to become butterflies, they become chrysalis. And so while that may or may not be important on a test, to let a kid know that a cocoon becomes a moth and a chrysalis becomes a butterfly, that's something that a kid now knows that he or she may not have known when they came in. And so those bits of information that we add, those nuggets of information that we develop, sometimes those are in the summer show. They are always in the school version of the show when I turn it into a school show.
I think that's great. The school shows would just reinforce what's been taught in the classroom.
Right.
You're not there to teach it necessarily. I mean, you are, but teaching, but in a fun way, just kind of reinforce.
Most of what I do either reinforces what they know, it gives them a hook, gives teachers a hook to hang information on. So when they're in class later on, they say, well, you remember when that guy came and he performed the magic show and he talked about the scientific process. Well, these are the steps in the scientific process. And the kids go, oh, yes, I remember that. And so it gives them a hook for that. Or it's a review. My Simple Machines show, for instance, I'm invited in a lot in February. In Georgia, in February is when they usually teach Simple Machines in the 3rd and 4th grade. And so at the beginning of February, I do a lot of introductions to the program. At the end of February, I do a lot of wrap-ups and reviews. It's the same show, but it serves as either an introduction. And I can't pretend to do in 45 minutes what a teacher does in hours and hours and days and days in the classroom. But I can give them those aha moments, or maybe I can do something like in the Simple Machine show. I've got a 12-foot lever that lifts a 50-pound bucket with the power of a finger.
Wow.
And so if you adjust the fulcrum, well, most teachers don't have the room or the resources to make a 12-foot, 50-pound lever. But I can do that in my show because I can toss it in the car and go do it at schools. And so when kids see that, they realize the power of a fulcrum, the power of leverage, and so that kind of thing sticks with them in a way that watching a video or reading a book might not. And so I think it enriches the program. I don't know that I can actually say that I teach them a lot, but it certainly enriches what they do.
I think it does enrich, and I think you do teach and certainly reinforce what's already been taught. We're going to pause for another commercial break and hope you'll join us when we come back.
As the Youth Ambassador for Get Healthy Talladega County's After School Healthy Meal Initiative, I want to share with you that the City of Sylacauga, as a Champ City, is working closely with SAFE to expand access to after-school meals. Help me spread the word to families that there are healthy meals available to children 18 and under. Every meal matters, and it all starts with you.
Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our knowledgeable pharmacists are always available for questions about your medications or advice on taking over-the-counter products and supplements. Our friendly staff can assist you in choosing from our full lines of compression hose and medical equipment. And don't forget our gift department. We have a great selection of unique gifts for every occasion. Stop by and see us today. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Hi, it's Shawnee McNeil at South First Bank. This is a great time for you to buy or build a new home, or maybe refinance your present mortgage. Our rates are the lowest they've been in years, and that means saving you money. We've been helping our customers become homeowners in this area for nearly 70 years, and we can make our approvals right here in the office, and that means saving you time. We're located here in downtown Sylacauga. Come in and find South First, a better way to bank.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I've been talking with our kickoff performer for the summer reading programs at the library, and it's Tommy Johns from, I didn't even ask where you're from. You're from Georgia, right?
Right. I live in a town called Powder Springs.
Okay.
Powder Springs is outside the perimeter of Atlanta. It's a small, almost rural town.
Okay.
And prior to that, lived in Roswell for 25 years. Most of my upbringing, I'm careful to say about that I grew up there because my wife's still waiting for me to grow up.
Oh,
but
still waiting on that.
Most of my growing up years were in a little town called Valley, Alabama, right on the state
Yes,
line between
okay.
Georgia and Alabama.
I'm
So.
familiar. Yeah, I went to Auburn. I know where
Okay,
Valley is.
exactly,
I know where that is.
exactly.
Well, now you have written, or you are writing a book, a magic book for
Right.
children.
Right. I've written a number of articles. The Cadabra organization has a magazine, and I've written over 100 articles that have been published there, and I've written other articles. So I've been a writer for a long time, and it's been my dream for a long time to write a book. And so at the end of the summer last year, August is always a really slow time for me. And so at the end of August last year, I met with a friend of mine who's published 3 or 4
Yes.
books, and I said, okay, here's my dream, here's my goal. What do I do to make this happen?
Right.
And he told me the steps to do. And so I've been working on writing a children's magic book. It's going to have 24 magic tricks in it. It's also going to have 2 chapters, one on an overview of the history of magic as a performance art, and the other one on the keys to being a magician, because it's different. There's one thing, it's one thing to know how to do magic tricks, it's another thing to be a magician.
Oh, I think so.
It's like the difference between knowing some jokes and being a comedian.
Yes.
Not everybody that knows jokes is funny. Not everybody knows magic tricks is magical. And so there's going to be a chapter on that. I'm going to be talking about that in the at the beginning of the show today.
Okay, good.
But yes, I've been working on. I've collected the tricks that I'm doing. I'm working out all the details. Writing procedure is more difficult, more challenging than I thought. I thought maybe I'd just knock this out in August and September because I know a lot of magic tricks.
Right.
But writing a step-by-step procedure that somebody else can understand, and that's been the challenge for me. Is after I write it, I'll give it to somebody to read it and see if they can follow directions. And if they can't follow the directions, then I know I have to rewrite it. And so it's taken longer.
They can't see you. They can just read it.
But my goal is by the end of the summer to have it at the publisher and have that available. The name of the book is actually going to be a series. The name of the series is Hey, That's Magic. And that came from something that happened when I first started doing magic. My teacher, my mentor in magic, said, instead of walking up to somebody and say, hey, I'm going to show you a magic trick, say, hey, I'd like to show you something kind of interesting.
Okay.
If you say, I'm going to show you a magic trick, people are automatically on guard. They start watching your hands. They start watching what you're doing.
Try to catch you.
Try to catch you. But if you say, I'm going to show you something interesting, they let their guard down a little bit.
Oh.
And invariably, at some point, they realize this is a magic trick. And the response I got from a lot of kids when I started performing was, hey, that's magic. Hey, that's magic. So that's what I've decided to name the series is Hey, That's Magic. Magic tricks that will amaze your friends. And so I've gotten an artist I'm working with an artist because you have to hold the cards exactly right. You have to do this. And so we're working with an artist to get that done. And so it's been a journey, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm very excited about it.
Well, that's great. And we can go online and get it maybe on your website.
HeyThat'sMagic.com is the website.
Okay.
And so no punctuation in there except for the dot.
Right.
But HeyThat'sMagic.com, and you fill out a form. I'll send you 3 emails. One of them to thank you, and I'll send you a sample from the book.
Okay.
The second one is one that'll let you know when it goes to the publisher, and the
Right.
third one is how to order it. And so I'm not going to clutter up your email box with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to sell it to anybody, but very excited about
Great.
getting that distributed. So.
And kids love magic.
Oh, absolutely.
Love magic.
Absolutely.
During the summer, we have some magic books, and they always check out because, during the school, kids are busy doing
Right.
things. So during the summer, a little bit of time, I want to read something for fun and learn some. And they've seen some good magicians.
Right,
So they're
right.
excited about that.
That's one of the things. There are magicians who do the library circuit, and they're so excited when the librarian says, "Hey, we checked out every magic book that was
Yes.
in the library." I think almost anybody can get kids to check out a magic book. I don't think
Yeah.
you have to be an outstanding performer to do that.
Right.
I think that if you can get kids to check out 47 Hardy Boys books, I
That's-
think that's an accomplishment.
That
if
is
you can get them to check
amazing,
out every
yes.
book about caterpillars and butterflies,
Yes.
that's an accomplishment. And so this year I'm hoping to, my goal is to get people to check out books, biographies of musicians,
Yes.
and books about how different types of music started. And then there's a series of books about a girl named Moxie Maxwell.
Yes.
And Moxie Maxwell does not love practicing the piano, but she does love recitals. And so that's the long title of
Yes,
this book,
yes,
and it's part of a
she-
series. And I'm hoping to get kids to discover
Yes,
those books.
that's great. I just love the way you do that, the way you promote books and always entertain the children so well.
Thank you.
They love it. We love you, Tommy, and I love it because it's a different show every year.
It is.
Some of the same of magic and audience participation and comedy, but
Right.
Brandon-
Two things I have in common in every show is I promote reading, and Roosevelt Rap makes an appearance.
Yes.
I have 4 different puppets that are in my different shows. I've got a hippopotamus, I've got a possum, I've got a talking drawing board,
yes,
and I've got the rat. But the rat is in every one of them. The others change. Oh, and I've got a bird, a buzzard.
Oh,
a buzzard
yes,
puppet
okay,
that was
yeah.
in the science show. And so, but the rat's in every show. I have
Yes.
different costumes, different stacks of books, different subjects that I teach. But you can always count on the rat being there. You can always count on me promoting reading.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, who knows what's going to happen.
who knows? Well, do you have a busy summer? I know we're just getting started.
75 shows in 45 days.
Wow.
And so it'll taper off toward the end of July, and then I teach. I've got a week-long magic camp where I'm teaching kids how to be magicians,
fun.
putting into practice some of the stuff that's in the book.
Yes,
And so I've got a week-long magic camp, and then in August I go, whew, and I breathe a little while. So.
And start planning for next year.
Start planning for next year. We're already working on the show for next year. Now in Alabama, I understand that the theme nationwide is going to be space, but in
Yeah.
Alabama we're promoting the
A little more the
bicentennial.
Alabama bicentennial.
And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. As I
Okay.
said, most of my customers, most of my clients are in Alabama.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out. I know with the connection with the Space Center, there's
Yes,
certainly some Alabama
space.
ties in with the Space Center. So I'm trying to figure out how to give. I may write 2 shows for next summer. One about space that will be available, and then one on Alabama history and some of the fun and amazing things that
There
have
are.
come out of Alabama.
There
We
are.
get a bad rap. You know, being from Alabama, I used to hear people from Georgia say, well, you know, Alabama serves a good purpose. They keep us 200 miles away from Mississippi. But a lot of amazing things have come out of Alabama, and not just football.
That's true,
A lot
yeah.
of great things.
Well,
And so-
that sounds like you are very busy, and I appreciate you coming on our TV show
a
when you have a
pleasure.
show in a few minutes.
Thanks
And
so much.
I hope y'all will come out to our summer reading programs this summer. Tommy will be here this morning, and a lot of other things going on at the library this summer. Monday and Wednesday are for all ages. Tuesday is preschool story time, and there's always the summer reading club where you're reading and winning prizes. So thank you again for coming, Tommy.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.